Thank you for taking this time for this interview. If you could please tell the viewers your name, date of birth, and where were you born?
Okay, so my name is Gabriela Alvarez. Originally, my maiden name is Guerrero. I am 27 years old. My birthday is December 14th, 1989. I was born in San Francisco, but I am originally from Daly City.
So tell us, how many people were you're in your immediate family growing up?
Growing up, my parents got divorced when I was about 9 years old, so I would just say 3. Myself, my mom, and my younger brother, who is 25. He's about 2 years younger than me.
Interesting. Was your dad around the picture much?
He was up until I turned 9 years old, and then after they got a divorce, he moved back to his home country, which is Nicaragua, and then he returned once my mother was diagnosed with cancer. He stayed for a little bit and then left. So I guess the answer to that is no.
Okay.
Or at least I don't feel so.
I hear it. Taking a step back, when it was just you, your mother, and your younger brother, did you want to take us back to how daily life was?
Okay. So growing up, my mother was pretty much a single mother. So I remember riding the bus a lot, walking, and then once she was able to get her own car, things got a little bit easier, but still nonetheless, I was the type of child that would take the bus after school.
Right.
Or walk.
Right.
And getting picked up was like a luxury.
Really?
Or like a rare, like, yay, I'm getting picked up, I don't have to walk home or take the bus. But on a daily basis, like the normal kid, I would just say that in the summer, I remember I would have to stay in to take care of my younger brother most of the time because my mother had to work. And I believe the first summer that I stayed home to actually watch him, I think I was only 10 years old.
What were your plans and goals for the future when you were going to school? Did you enjoy school much? Was this an escape for you?
Not an escape. I naturally enjoyed school. I was kind of a perfectionist, so I got a kick out of doing well.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't have too much trouble in school. I was pretty independent, the type of kid who would come home and do their homework, so. But I think that might have also been part of because of the pressure I felt to please my mother.
You mentioned your mother was from El Salvador and your dad was from Nicaragua. Did you ever, you and your brother, did you guys ever get a chance to visit the homeland?
So
take us back. How was this experience for you?
So we actually lived in El Salvador for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
I think I was about 5 or 6, and I came back when I was around 8. And Nicaragua, I have visited a few times. I haven't been there in many years. When it comes to El Salvador, I actually still have, my grandmother still lives there, and my aunts and stuff. So I tend to visit El Salvador every other year.
Do you remember much of leaving El Salvador? What any memories of moving back to the U.S. and what that change was like for you? Do you remember anything in particular about the cities, the people, or any memory at all?
Okay, so being American, El Salvador is the third world country, so it is very different. We're very privileged here. So moving over there was a little drastic for me, but I got used to it. Things such as hot water. There was no hot water unless somebody boiled it in a pot for you. Something that was kind of different over there was a lot of maids.
Really?
Something that over here is a luxury, more so.
It seems as if the upper class
here
have the assistance. When you look at your time in El Salvador, do you feel you were privileged to have... Do you speak the language? Are you fluent?
Yes. So I am fluent in Spanish.
Right.
It's on school and dealing with my mother's illness.
I'm sorry to hear about that. Could you tell us about the effect it had on your brother at that time and your role in the household as the eldest child?
So my role in the household changed a bit. It went from not just being the older sister anymore, but it kind of went on to taking care of my mother too.
It must have been very hard.
But that happened more so right after high school. That happened my freshman year in college. And that was difficult as well. Just the pressure of trying to focus on school, but at the same time having to take care of somebody who's sick at home. And there's a lot of emotions and things going on. So all of that was my biggest adjustment, I would say.
During this time, when you would think about your future, what is it that you were thinking about exactly? Were you just caught up in the moment, or were you able to see light at the end of the tunnel that with time you'd be able to get over?
So prior to my mother's illness in high school, my goals were to go to a UC.
Right.
Or a private, originally like Stanford, UC Berkeley. That was my goal. And that's why I tried to do well and get into honors and all of that. And even when I couldn't get into honors, it was just beating myself up over that because I was trying to reach that goal. So I did know I wanted to attend college. Once I was actually in college, because my parents couldn't afford it, I thought I would just attend community college and then transfer. And that would allow me the time to get my grades up so that I can get into Stanford, because I did apply to UC Berkeley, but I didn't get in. So I wasn't going to give up on that, which is why I went to community college and I learned about the Transfer Alliance program. So my goals were still set on Berkeley at the time. But then when my mother got sick, things changed. My grades kind of fell off and I was kind of lost for a little bit. I was still going to school, but I didn't know quite exactly what I wanted to do anymore. Specifically, once my mom died, I think I had to really take time and like focus on myself and get it together and really think about what I wanted to do with my life, because I felt that life was too short. And like what happened to my mother dying so young, I really had to focus on myself and think, what do I want to do? Not what my mom wanted me to do.
Right.
What do I want to do? And that's when I realized I wanted to get into the fashion career.
Okay, so it sounds like fashion is an interest of yours. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, switching to lighting?
Okay, so I'll say this. When I transferred from community college, I transferred out with 90 units. You only need 60 to transfer. And that was because I had all the units to transfer to UC, whatever. I did my general. But when I had my epiphany, I guess, that I wanted to follow a career path that I loved and that I wanted to do, not that was expected of me, I changed my focus and I started taking my fashion classes. So once I did that and I got all of that together, I finally transferred and I decided to go to SF State because they have a fashion program there.
Right.
And I did get in. And then prior to that, I did go to Academy of Arts, but it was just way too expensive.
Did you ever find any difficulties in finding success or your own, pretty much your own acceptance within the field, you know, reaching your own goals, being content, being challenged?
So when I was at community college, I was really inspired. When I started taking the fashion classes, I felt that I was in the right place. I knew it. I was very inspired and I felt it. I knew that that was what I wanted to do. I had great opportunities and doors started opening while I was in community college. Some that I was afraid to take. But it did challenge me in a good way. Started opening my eyes of all the possibilities of what I could do.
Right.
And and if I really focused where I could get. But along the way, I was also struggling, feeling the emptiness or loneliness of not having my mother there.
That's very sad.
So I think part of me wanted to start a family kind of so that I can feel that love again.
Right. Before we touch on that, can you tell us a little bit more about some of your mother's, let's say, life lessons on morality or religion or the afterlife, or what to expect feelings-wise, knowing that she was going to pass? You know, her thoughts and, you know, her comforting you and telling her that, hey, I'm not going to be here one day, and you're going to need to continue on. Can you tell us a little bit about some of your moms?
So growing up, my mother was very strict, very Catholic, so faith played a big role for her, and she instilled that in me. I think because she was so strict, that helped me become very independent.
Right.
And losing her at a young age too helped me become independent. I will say that how she prepared me for her death was just to have faith, and she seemed like she was prepared for it, so that somewhat comforted me. But I don't think you can ever really be prepared. I think my mother's passing helped drive me to my goals and dreams, because it's a constant back burner in my head of trying to make her proud in some way.
Right. So, with that being said, it sounds like at around college, it was an important time in your life in terms of inspiration and in terms of moving on from grieving life after death. And you mentioned it sounded like you were insinuating children of any sort. Can you take us through dating through college, and how is that like now? Tell us a little bit about your...
I didn't do too much dating in college. I was always more focused on school. I've had 2 serious relationships prior to my husband. And it was just at the time where I got pregnant, it was just a point in my life where that was something that I just really wanted. I wanted to have children, and I knew I was ready for it.
That's great.
And at the time, I was working at a swim school as a swim instructor, so I dealt with a lot of babies and children. So I guess you could say I had baby fever.
Baby fever, okay. And mind telling us a little bit more about your 2 lovely children? How old are they, and when were they born?
Okay, so I have 2 children. My son Rome is about to be 3 in February of next year, and my baby Julius is 7 months, and he was born this year in May. I will say this, I always knew I wanted to be a mother and have a family, but I also felt that I could juggle that with my career.
Naturally.
And that's something that I'm kind of struggling with now. I do think it's possible, but there's a lot of difficulties in that.
With them being so young and naturally so attached to their mother at this age, that's a lot of respect to you. You were modest yourself, and you're actually a very accomplished in your field. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, considering that at this point you have children and you say you're having struggles with that balance?
So for me, I was kind of, with my fashion career, I was kind of on a roll. And then when I started having children, I kind of had to put that on hold. With my firstborn son, I was able to get back into it after a while, because SF State has on-site daycare. So I started getting back into the field and getting things going. But then I got pregnant again, so right now it's currently on hold. But now it's a time, I'm in a different place in my life now, so it's more reflecting going on, I guess I'm a little confused on exactly where I want to go, because it's kind of hard to be an active, involved mother and completely dedicated to your career. So that's where the struggle is right now.